Tonight is a community service of the New York Institute of Technology.
Covering the news of Nassau and Suffolk Counties, Long Island News Tonight with Ken Eckhart, Carol Peck, and the award-winning LI News team. Good evening. I'm Ken Eckhart, and here's what's happening. The White House says Osama bin Laden's death won't affect plans to begin withdrawing U.S. troops from Afghanistan this summer. Spokesman Jay Carney says the plan remains on track to begin pulling out troops in July and turning responsibility for security in certain areas over to the Afghans. Meanwhile, the White House says Osama bin Laden was not armed when a Navy SEAL raiding party confronted him during an assault on his compound in Pakistan, and he was shot in the head and chest during the encounter. Jody Goldberg was in Eisenhower Park this morning at the monument to the 9/11 attack.
As the world continues to celebrate the death of Osama bin Laden, questions now being asked whether further proof of his death is needed. Should the U.S. release photos of bin Laden's body and video of his killing? Here on Long Island, following last night's vigil at Eisenhower Park in East Meadow, this candle was still burning this morning in memory of friends and family killed in the terrorist attacks. And visitors to the memorial we spoke with today told us hearing of bin Laden's death produced mixed emotions.
It doesn't close the book. It's satisfying for some, the families who lost people. Nothing will ever satisfy that, the loss of a family member or a friend.
The September 11th monument is hidden in a quiet area of Eisenhower Park, where people can gather and reflect on the past, alongside two stainless steel towers set in a fountain, flanked by steel girders that were recovered from the World Trade Center, and a wall with the names of Long Islanders killed on 9/11. These are the names of the 344 loved ones who left home that September morning and did not return. And people here today, after last night's vigil, say they are paying their respects to their fellow Americans.
Pay our respects to those who lost their lives. 9/11 is forever engraved in our memory. It was a terrible day and changed America forever.
In East Meadow, Jody Goldberg, LI News Tonight.
A Roosevelt man is facing a variety of charges after police stopped him in a stolen car. It happened yesterday afternoon after a car was reported stolen in North Merrick, and officers spotted it and pulled it over on Camp Avenue. They say 19-year-old Ahmad Ray of Roosevelt got out of the car and ran, stealing a bicycle along the way, then ditching the bike and running onto Meadowbrook Parkway. He finally ran into a home on Sumner Avenue where he was located by police. And police say Ray didn't know the homeowners. Charges include burglary, possession of stolen property, and a variety of traffic offenses. New York's Senate Republicans say they promised to push legislation that would allow police to stop and ticket motorists for texting while driving. It's currently a secondary offense, which means a person can't be pulled over solely for driving while texting. Instead, it must be tacked onto another offense, like speeding. Legislation sponsored by a dozen Republicans who have majority control of that chamber would upgrade it to a primary offense. A group of Senate Democrats has introduced a similar bill, and a companion measure is pending in the Assembly. The American Automobile Association says driver distraction lasting more than 2 seconds doubles the risk of a crash. Well, even though one of the easiest ways to help protect the environment is to recycle, new statistics indicate the rate of recycling is dropping. Elsa Gillis takes a look at why.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle. It's a common phrase many of us grew up hearing, but are we following the advice? Well, according to Stony Brook University, we're not. A new Stony Brook study claims recycling on Long Island has decreased almost 20% in the past decade.
It's probably down just because people don't have the extra cash to go out, buy new products that are out there, which at the same hand generates waste products.
Jonathan Abrams is a manager at Gershaw Recycling in Huntington, which purchases scrap metal, processes it, and sells it so that new metals can be made from the recycled materials.
We don't want to deplete the earth of all the raw materials that are out there by constantly producing new products without using recycled material in that process.
It's recycling centers like the one behind me that turns what most of us see as waste into usable material. And Abrams says it's important to take the time to go through our homes to separate what's recyclable from what's not.
Abrams says there are lots of ways to recycle. Some of the easiest are with plastics, paper products, and aluminum.
Years ago, some of the figures used to be that only 10% of recycled materials were actually used in the process of making new product. Today, there's about 90% recycled materials and only 10% raw materials.
And he says Gershaw will pay for scrap metal, no matter how little you have.
Take the time to separate the metals. A standard barbecue, maybe you could fetch $5 just by itself if it was to go into the mixed pile, let's say. But if you took the time to separate and break down all the metals, you could fetch as much as possibly $20, $25, maybe even $30.
In Huntington, Elsa Gillis, LI News Tonight.
This past Earth Day, we were all reminded again why it is so important for us to do all we can to protect and preserve the environment, including efforts to create buildings that don't pollute and use as little energy as possible. Tonight on NYIT Roundtable, host Jody Goldberg takes a look at new ways we can go green and talks with a Long Island energy expert about some of the innovative techniques buildings are using to reduce energy consumption.
Almost any building can reduce its energy consumption by 20 to 30% by using proven techniques, and we apply those to help buildings permanently and significantly reduce their energy consumption, improve the indoor air quality and the safety of the occupants.
Well, join us tonight for NYIT Roundtable, immediately following the news on many of our stations. It was a mixed day on Wall Street today. The Dow finished up but just a fraction. NASDAQ was down 22.5 points, and the S&P was down 4 2/3 points. NYIT's LI News Tonight continues after this.
A Knit and Talk support group for women with breast cancer meets at Adelphi University School of Social Work in Garden City on the first Monday of each month from 2:30 till 4 p.m. For more information, call 516-877-4314. The American Parkinson's Disease Association has a monthly support group at New York Institute of Technology in Old Westbury on the second Friday of the month at 2 p.m. For more information, call 516-626-6114. The Nassau County Museum of Art presents Family Sunday at the museum in Roslyn Harbor on Sunday afternoons at 1 p.m. For more information, call 516-484-9337. And the North Shore LIJ Health System offers a weekly support group for stroke survivors and caregivers at Plainview Hospital on the fourth Thursday of the month from 2 till 3 p.m. For more information, call 516-719-2411. If you have an event you'd like included on the LI News Tonight community calendar, send it to linewstonight@nyit.edu.
Press play to start your future. Learn the industry. Use the technology. Become an expert in television reporting, journalism, radio, digital film, public relations and advertising, television production, digital graphics, a beautiful state-of-the-art campus, a road to the job you've always wanted, in the media capital of the world. Communication Arts at NYIT. When can you start?
Some headlines around the world today. There were calls today for revenge from Libyans burying the second youngest son of Muammar Gaddafi. He died in a NATO attack over the weekend that also killed 3 of Gaddafi's grandchildren. Libyan officials say Gaddafi and his wife were in the compound that was attacked, but they escaped unharmed. Gaddafi didn't attend today's funeral, but two older Gaddafi sons paid their respects amid a crowd of several thousand. The bombing hasn't deterred Gaddafi from keeping up his attacks on Misrata, Libya's third largest city. Hundreds have been killed there during 2 months of attacks by Libyan troops, hoping to retake the city from rebels. British police say 5 men have been arrested under anti-terrorism laws after being discovered near a nuclear power plant in northwest England. Authorities say the men were detained under the Terrorism Act near a plant in Cumbria yesterday after officers stopped a car. All are from London and in their 20s. They were being held today at a police station in Manchester. Prime Minister David Cameron has said Britain should be extra vigilant against terrorism in the coming weeks following the death of Osama bin Laden. And a new assessment of climate change in the Arctic shows the ice in the region is melting faster than previously thought and sharply raises projections of a rise in global sea level this century. The report by the International Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program compiles the latest science on how climate change has impacted the Arctic in the past 6 years. A summary of the key findings shows Arctic temperatures during that period were the highest since measurements began in 1880. It said melting Arctic glaciers and ice caps are projected to help raise global sea levels by 35 to 63 inches by 2100. And that's up from a 2007 projection. Well, there's no arguing that finding a job in your preferred field after college can be difficult. But having hands-on experience in that field can certainly help, as Adrienne Harrer reports.
This group of young advertisers is meeting one last time in Central Islip with their high-profile client, the Long Island Ducks, to pitch ideas and designs they spent months creating. But they're not paid professionals, they're college students. And these New York Institute of Technology advertising majors, who go by the name the Carlton Group, created the minor league baseball team's ad campaign in exchange for experience as professionals in the working world.
Each of you complemented each other well. You guys worked well as a team. And that's what, moving forward, once you graduate, that's what it's all about.
Ducks representative Rob Lyons says hiring a group of students has been no different than hiring a paid company.
We try not to treat them as if they're any different than a regular group, and if we were to work with them as professionals, I would give them the same treatment, same project, same everything that we would a regular professional group.
And he adds, the quality of work does not suffer.
And, you know, they take advantage of it, they react well, and they get the job done for us.
Social media has become the hottest trend for advertisers, and students who we spoke with said integrating it with the Ducks organization here at Bethpage Park will give them a leg up on their future.
A lot of people, especially older people, don't know a lot about social media, so it's an advantage that I have over some of the older people that I know, and I've actually worked with social media before.
You're going to be able to do everything on the web. Everything is interactive now. I think paper print will always be there, but the new interactive social media is the new wave.
And some students say the experience they had with the Carlton Group has already helped them to land interviews, leading to potential jobs in the future. In Central Islip, Adrienne Harrer, LI News Tonight.
Some clouds moved into the area this afternoon. The high was up into the low 70s. Tonight, isolated thunderstorms with a low in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, chance of showers with a high around 60 degrees. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high around 60. Friday, chance of showers with a high in the low 60s. Saturday, mostly sunny with a high in the upper 60s. And that's it for NYIT's LI News Tonight. I'm Ken Eckhart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.